Hey guys, what's going on? This is Rami, and I'm here today with a friend of mine that I've always looked forward to meet, and I always look forward to have him on camera. This time, he's under the spot, under the heat, taking questions, not me or not anyone else. So, not other than brother Bilal Abdul Karim, well-known
Assalamu alaikum.
journalist in Syria, who's been doing this trick, as he always describe it, for more than 6 years. Something that I admire, something that I see extremely needed on uncovering the conflict of Syria, being on the ground all the time, 24/7 for 6 years. So, brother, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
It's a
barakatuh.
pleasure to have you with me, brother.
It's good to be here.
And during this blessed month of Ramadan, I'm glad that we also had a meal together.
Yeah, that's right. That's
It's
right.
awesome. It's awesome. So, it just in a very short, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. I'm not a journalist myself, but I'd like to give you the opportunity as a journalist to talk a little bit about yourself this time. You've covered a lot of stories, you've interviewed a lot of people, but nobody actually interviewed you. And those journalists who work with you, they've worked with you as an activist, not a journalist. And I see you as a journalist, which is something really needed. So, just a quick thing about you, what brought you here.
Mhm.
I mean, how did you come about it? Come to Syria, and what
Yeah.
kind of difficulties are you facing? I mean, whether it's in Syria or from the outside world.
Well, I think firstly, I came here after I went to Libya. This was after the Arab Spring, as they call it. And I remember when I was there, I saw a lot of the people were really calling for the Sharia of Islam. But I didn't see that in the news. But I was there on the ground, and I was like, wow, I wonder why I'm not seeing this on the news. So then I decided that I was going to check out and see what was going on in Syria. We had all of these different rebel groups that were coming about, beards and La ilaha illallah slogans. So I was really curious. So I came here, and then I saw a
That
similar.
was year.
That was 2012. That was 2012, and I saw a similar thing. So that's what actually brought me here to Syria.
Right, right. And you came to Syria as an humanitarian, as a journalist, as an activist. What was the role you thought you can play in Syria?
Well, I've been doing journalism. I was in Libya filming a documentary, and I was also the program director for a channel before. So being involved in media and journalism, I've been doing that for a long time,
Right, right.
even before Syria.
But Syria kept you for all these years. Why is that?
Well, it did because I remember after I came here and I filmed my documentary, and I had this conversation with myself. I said, "All right, Bilal, you got your stuff, and it's time to go back home." And then I was thinking, yeah, I guess I could go back home and just move on from here. But what am I gonna say when Allah asks me why I didn't do more for these people? And I said to myself, oh, because I have a family. My family is outside of Syria. And then I said to myself, yeah, well, you got 26 million people here who have family. So what makes you special? Because you have a blue passport and you can walk in and out of countries? Is that what you think makes you special, Bilal? And I didn't have an answer. So I left Syria. I went back home. And I remember I was sitting next to the seaside with my wife. And I was watching my kids jump around in the water and play. And I was supposed to go to Saudi Arabia to cover the Hajj. And I sat there, and my wife looked at me, and she said, "Yeah, I'm so happy for you. You're going to Saudi Arabia. You're going to cover the Hajj. Oh, this is going to be great." I looked at her and I said, I don't want to go." She said, "I know." I said, "I want to go back to Syria." She said, "I know." She knows me. We've been married for more than 20 years. And that's when I came back to Syria, and I went back and forth many times. And so, the rest is kind of history.
Right. Well, you being here in Syria and covering pretty much all the battles and the bombings and the atrocities inflicted on the civilians, and being oftentimes in the front lines, you've been also suffering in the siege of Aleppo siege. You've been held hostage pretty much in the city of Aleppo up until they opened the gates for people to be displaced or to move to another territories. Uh, how do you describe your relations with locals here in Syria, and do you find it dangerous for yourself and your family living in these parts of the world?
Well, firstly, in terms of the Syrian people, I've visited every Arab country except for Iraq, Lebanon, and Algeria. Other than that, I've visited every Arab country, and I like the Syrians the best, and I think that they like me too. And so we just have this kind of love story relationship between myself and the Syrians. I really, really get along with them pretty well, except for the ones that are trying to kill me. But outside of those, I get along with them pretty good.
Tell me honestly, how many times they've placed a bomb under your car?
Well, I don't have the problem so much, or I didn't in the past, with bombs under the car. I've had either people shooting at me or bombs coming from the skies.
Right.
Those have been the issues that I've faced. But now that you've got more issues of people putting bombs on your cars, I take a lot of precautions so that that doesn't happen. I mean, I could just be a cowboy and just pretend that that's not really a concern, but it is a concern.
It is.
You know, I don't exactly blend in the crowd, so I could see that if I didn't have those precautions in place, that there would have been a lot more attempts.
Right, I'm gonna just wait for that motorcycle to pass by.
Mhm.
As you guys see, this is not really professional journalism, but it is something that I can do best. Anyway, uh, you know, we've talked about your problems here, but are you facing any problems from outside Syria? Let's say the treatment that you're facing by the Western government, in particular the United States government. How do they are? I mean, treating you? Are you subjected to certain kind of harassments? You being here in Syria?
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. government tried to kill me a couple of years ago. There was a drone strike on my car. Um, I've raised a a court case against the United States government. It's been a little more than 2 years that it's been in court in Washington, um, and I'm charging them with trying to assassinate me. Uh, I've always maintained that I've never been involved in any type of terrorist incident, and I've said that if they have a problem with me, charge me, and then we can talk about it, and we'll do it in front of a judge.
So you're not being charged, not even being put on the list, wanted list, none of that.
Never.
So pretty much you're a man. Whenever you want to go to the states, you assume that you can go to the states and be a normal citizen.
Well, well. What they tried to do was to they hit the car that I was in with a Hellfire missile.
Ooh.
I have no reason why I survived it. If you look online, you'll see that the entire front part of the car was basically sheared off, and we raised this case against them. And they're trying to cry, all this different stuff or whatever. And it's been going in court for more than 2 years. The government has been trying to get it thrown out, but the judge is saying no. This man is a U.S. citizen. He has a right to life, and we're going to have to settle this case. And it's still in court right now.
Do you think it's going to take a long time to get it through?
Well, I mean,
It's a complicated case.
it's a complicated case, but at the end of the day, the only reason why this is being talked about is because I have a blue passport, because I'm American. But that's
Right.
not supposed to be the criterion. The criterion
Right.
is supposed to be if somebody was Libyan or they were Saudi or they were Yemeni or whatever the case is. But they have no voice because they are not U.S. citizens.
Right.
I had no business surviving that attack, in which case it would have just fell by the wayside. But that didn't happen.
Right.
And that's why we raised this case, and we're not looking to back down.
Well, I wish you all the best for that case. Just one more thing, or one last thing actually. You've survived the bombing just recently while you were working with Sky News. Hope your injury is coming about, healing well. Just briefly, how did that go through?
Well, we were near the area of Kefren Buda. We were in a place called Habib.
That's a front line.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like a real battleground right now.
yeah. It's not far. It's right near the front line, but you can call it the front line because anything that's moving up in those areas could come under attack.
Right.
Just as we did, a tank shell slammed into a building that was next to us. But the interesting thing is that they had these drones that were over us, so I know they know who was there.
Right.
And one of the people that were there was a female who was wearing an abaya.
Right.
And there were all these different press insignias and stuff like
And
that.
the helmets.
And the helmets. I didn't wear any press insignia because I know that makes you more of a target.
Right.
But that's what they wanted to do, so that's what they did. And sure enough, when we were there, that tank shell came in. It landed closer to the others than it did to me, but they weren't injured. But I got shrapnel right here,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's how it was. But that's not the first. These are not the first injuries and all.
That's not gonna be the last. It's like because he's a stubborn dude. He just a man that I know. He looked for trouble all the time. You know, he just stay at home in a cozy place. He looked for where's the hottest conflict is going on. He just wanted to be there, right in the front line. So I ask Allah subhanahu to preserve you and يحميك ويكتب أجرك إن شاء الله.
I just wanted to say one quick thing, which is I don't want anybody to think that there's any death wish or I'm like some type of adrenaline junkie.
No.
I'm really not.
No.
But the thing is that you've got upwards to 1 million people who are dead. You've got millions that are displaced, and if there's something that I can do to help people to understand what the realities are and not the way the spin is put out there, then I consider it to be obligatory on me to do that. So I'm only one guy. If you lose Bilal, you lost one guy. But if Bilal is successful, then thousands or millions of people know things about the Syrian people that they need to know.
Exactly.
So that's what this is about.
And of course, me being Syrian, coming quite often to Syria, I could really underline the need of someone who comes in here who speaks English and convey the message to the outside world. So I just want to thank you. I look forward to see you again, and I wish you all the success, brother.
All right.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your deeds
Ameen.
and ease in your burdens and protect your families and subject to I don't know how to that in English. Jazakallah khair.
Which is that? It's really nice to see you.
Keep training. He's training hard. I mean, he squeezed my hand real tight, but I'm gonna give him a lesson or two about bodybuilding.
Or four.
Thank you guys.